Okay, is everybody awake? We're going to try to make this short, sweet, and to the point because lunch is right there. And I am a big boy and I like to eat. So, all right. So, I grew up here in Kentucky. I grew up in Clark County. I am sixth generation on our family farm. We run cow-calf operation. Some people have a tendency of picking on me because I have Charolais cattle. Get over it. All right, I've been with Gallagher for about a year and a half now, and we're going to go over some of the fencing innovations that are happening in the world. So, one of the big ones is this is a little more economical for some people. It's fence monitoring. So, what is fence monitoring? Anybody have any idea? Yes, that is a little bit cheaper version of each brand. Each Energizer brand has their own version. That is aftermarket, but most time aftermarkets are a little bit cheaper. So, what's the advantages of monitoring your fence? You got real-time control of the fence system. You have real-time readout of the amps and kV that Jeremy was talking about earlier, and you have the ability to monitor zones. So what are zones? Anybody, well, y'all don't know what monitors are, so I'll explain what a zone is. So you can set these up all around your farm, all around your energized farm, and that monitor will communicate with your energizer, and you can have a readout on an app as long as you use a Wi-Fi gateway, or you can use this. That's if you don't have Wi-Fi. That's if you do have Wi-Fi at the barn. Not very many people do have Wi-Fi at the barn, but it'll allow you to have alerts set on your phone. You can actually see in real time what each section of that fence is doing. So the Wi-Fi gateway and the app, that allows you to see everything in the palm of your hand. I seen a guy that was in North Carolina standing right beside me. He lives in Nebraska, literally turned his fence on and off because he had his charger hooked up to his Wi-Fi and was able to turn it on and off. And he actually turned it off and called his wife and said, "Hey, something's wrong with the fence. You better go fix it." And then she called him back and he turned it back on. That's the nice thing about being able to do that. So, fence monitors. You can create and manage individual zones within the fence line, allowing for targeted monitoring. You cannot turn off individual zones. You can just monitor those individual zones. So what you would do is take that fence monitor that I showed you all a minute ago, tie it into your fence, have you a cutout switch. That's how you turn your fence on and off for that zone. Have you a cutout switch tied into your monitor. All that does is shows you what that fence is doing in that specific area.
To monitor that, does that cutoff switch have to be turned off to isolate that zone?
Yes, you have to turn that off to isolate that zone to turn it completely off. Yes. So here's kind of a simple breakdown of how this would work. So you have your charger, and you either have your display or your Wi-Fi gateway. And I tried, this is actually a really cool little deal, but it's a little video, but I couldn't get the video to show on here for some reason. So you have a fence monitor there, 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 and there. If one of these trees falls and shorts out the fence, that'll send you a notification that, hey, this zone 4 has a drop in amperage, or has a spike in amperage, drop in kV. Well, then you know, hey, I got to go out here and check zone 4. Something, and that's the neat thing about that. So, with those I-Series chargers or intelligent chargers, there's some accessories that you can add on. You can connect this to your charger, and off of that, whenever it sends out an alert, you can put an audible sound or a flashing light. You can stick a blue light on top of the barn and see it for a quarter, half mile, or you can put basically a car horn on the side of the barn, and it'll scream at you if there's a unsuspected spike in something. And here's another one. That is, Chris was talking about the fault finder earlier. This is a fault finder and a remote. So not only will that tell you where your fault is, you can turn, whenever you get there, you can turn your fence on and off just by hitting a button.
Can you get alerts to your cell phone? I mean, push alerts where just like those alarms go off, you can get it out.
Yes. There's a couple different fencing brands that have different ones. Some of them are a little more economical. Some of them are big horsepower, big jewel chargers with all the bells and whistles. Some of them are smaller chargers with just a bell, not the whistle. Any questions on that before we go into the next section? Oh, I did the right thing. I followed Clint. They're half asleep now, Chris. Got anything to add, Jeremy?
No, the fence monitor is pretty new. So is that just like having somebody standing there around the clock with a fault finder?
Essentially, yes, yes. And the more monitors you put on the fence, the more guys you basically hired to monitor the fence. You can do it without putting a monitor. You can have your charger coming straight out of the box. It'll have that and the charger, and then you get the remote. You can buy the remote separate. So those two things right out of the box. So that monitor you can mount on the side of the barn. Every time you drive up and down the driveway, look over, everything looks right there. You do not have to have a fence monitor to monitor the whole fence. But if you want to split it off into zones, that's whenever you have to put those fence monitors on there.
So does this concept tie back to what Clint was talking about, with legal liability of, blocking your fence instead of physically doing it, digitally doing it?
So electric fencing it's not supposed to be a physical barrier. It's supposed to be a psychological barrier. It can be in certain instances. You can have a physical and a psychological barrier. Like if you had a fixed knot fence all the way around your farm and had an electric fence going, yes. But that also allows you the opportunity, like you was getting at, that allows you the opportunity to see your fence if there's a drop in kV and a spike in amps. That says that something's wrong.
So if you had a single wire around an old golden wire fence,
Mm-hmm.
single hot wire,
Mm-hmm.
and had that, and it can show you the daily graph on your phone, then if something happened to your golden wire fence and cows got out of it, and it was just a quick one time to look at a chronic problem, then I guess you could use that in court, that chart on your phone showing the voltage has maintained itself, which means the golden wire is still intact.
As long as it. Now we're going in the weeds here, but I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yes.
I monitor my fence, even though my barrier is not 5 strands of electric.
Yeah.
But it's a woven wire, and it's got that
Yes.
5 strand of high tensile around it. I'm monitoring my fence.
Yeah. Because most of the time, if cows get out and they tear down your woven wire fence or your fixed knot fence, and you have a single strand of electric going all around it, more than likely they're going to tear that electric up as they're crossing. So that would automatically short it out, like Jeremy was saying, to where you would. Yes.
You better tell me, consult your attorney.
Yeah, consult your attorney. I'm not legal or liable for anything that was said here. just like I don't give out financial advice. All right, so this one, we're going to go into some weeds here, and we will refer back to what Clint was talking about here in a minute. There's a lot of people that have heard about collared systems, no fence systems. E-Shepherd is another one. We're going to talk a little bit about that. I seen a couple eyes get real bright whenever I pop this slide up, so there's going to be questions on this one. All right, what's the reasons for virtual fencing? Anybody got any reason that's not on here? That would be between you. Like I said, I don't give out financial advice. So reasons for virtual fencing: reduce labor, boost pasture productivity, use of land in hard to reach area or hard to fence areas, and manage herd remotely. So every brand has the same general breakdown: is a collared system with the manager right here hanging down. So you got the top strap. That top strap is designed to break away in case they got hung in something, they got hung on a tree. That strap will break, collar slide off. The chain, that's what carries your current. So if they step out of line, step out of the bounds, they get a audible first whenever they get to it, and then if they get past it, it sends a little zap, they go back to their area. It has an identifier number, which basically is a VIN. It has a little flashing LED right there to tell you whether or not it's working. And then with everything that's going on in the federal government and everything, everybody's heard about EID tags and RFID tags. Those come with RFID tags built in. So whenever you're running your calves through the chute, if you had to, or say you was in amongst them and you wanted to know something about them, you could scan that RFID tag and pull it up. There's a locking clip up there on the top that holds the collar to where it's adjustable. So the unit is solar powered, and then there's the internal speaker on there. They are suitable for 440 pounds up. They weigh 5.5 pounds. That's a fraction of what the animal weighs. Each brand is a little different. They have a 7 to 10 year life expectancy on the battery because it's a lithium. It's not the old gel style batteries that goes bad in 2 years. E-Shepherd's collar is accurate within 3 feet. And they come with a 3-year warranty. If you decided that you wanted to go that route, they'll come out and they'll spend 4 or 5 days with you, help you set up everything, go through all the bells, all the whistles, and make sure that you're comfortable with it before they walk away. And they provide some technical support on the back end after. There's 2 different versions. Each brand, some brands are solely a base station, some brands are both, cellular and base station. So the base station is designed to where the base station will connect with satellite, or connect with the animal connects with the satellite, and then that sends it to the cloud. And then you can look at, and then once it goes to the cloud, pull out your handy dandy phone, and you have everything right there, the movements and everything right there at your fingertips. This is the cellular version. It's basically the same thing, but you knock out the base station. The base station is only required for areas that have poor cell signal. If you got fairly decent cell signal, you should be okay. Western Montana is one of them where there's no cell towers for miles and miles. Eastern Kentucky would be a little questionable. If you got down in some of them dips and valleys and everything, it would be a little questionable. But right here is kind of a brief little or small little picture of what it would do. You can actually move the lines and move your cattle within that little area. Draw it with your finger. And Chris had brought this up at the other one, how hard would it be to fasten your animals out of water? It would be very easy to fasten them out of water depending on what your water source is. I mean, you can draw it out into the middle of the pond if it's a large pond or a large lake that they're drinking from. If it's a waterer sitting out in the middle of the field, your finger could miss that, and then your livestock would go without water. Here is the comparison between each brand. I pulled this from Drover magazine. Kind of gives you a financial breakdown of all 4 brands. Tells you what kind of software they use, whether they use a base station or a cellular network, the type of battery it has, the pasture size minimums, the herd size minimums, and the upfront cost and the yearly cost. Any questions so far? Well,
Does that run off the satellite signal then?
all right.
Will all these collars weigh about the same? Because you mentioned that one particular collar was 5.5 pounds.
So I talked to the rep for this area with no fence. He was just me and him was sitting there chatting one day, and he actually said that theirs weigh like, I think 5.25 is what his weighs. They recommend, I asked him a little more in details just to kind of compare apples to apples. He said that theirs is rated for 430 and up as far as the size of the animal.
So, like, we've been getting some calls about people wanting to put them on small ruminants.
So No Fence is the only ones that offer a small ruminant collar currently. Gallagher's eShepherd they're not offering that to small ruminants, and the reason being is the technology. In 5-10 years, there's a possibility that the technology might be there, because everybody has seen it if they've used solar chargers. Solar chargers were yay big, and they were a 0.2 joule. Well, now a 0.2 joule charger is that big. Actually, that collar right there is basically a 0.1 joule charger with the case around it.
So can you stay on that for a second? You're talking about the breakaway collar.
Mm-hmm.
It actually release.
So what it does, that little deal right there will break away to where it's adjustable right there through those notches. So whenever that breaks away, the collar will just, what's left will expand to where it'll slip off.
So it actually leaves.
Yes. That's if it got hung on a branch, got hung on a post, something along those lines, to where it caused that neck band to fail. That way they don't get choked out on something. It's a safety concern.
Does it have a sensor in there that shows that it's left the animal, or
What you would be able to see on your app or on your tablet or anything, all your livestock would be moved over here in this section of the field. That one collar's laying over there.
So with no fence, they have like a subscription you have to do. You don't have a subscription because you have the app.
So the first year, I don't know as far as halter, no fence, or fence. I don't know about those. I know the eShepherd one, you get the first year free, and then after that you have to pay. I do not know the dollar amount on that one. If I could figure, it would probably be $300-500 range a year, if I could figure.
Not for collar.
Huh?
For collar?
That would be for one use. For one group, I guess would be the correct way of saying.
kind of like a user account?
Yes, user account, thank you.
So, I mean, this is just recommended for like, right, pasture, right? I guess you could turn cattle out with no exterior.
There we go. Now we're back to what Clint was talking about. So what they recommend is you have a solid exterior fence before you put that in, because one of those collars fails. Well, that cow, she might be a very unhappy individual. She might decide she wants to see what the grass is on the other side of the road. She crosses the road, then you get to call your lawyer again. That's the thought process going behind that. So you would need to have a good exterior fence around your place. This would be more for rotational purposes.
Probably, now this is probably the most applicable would be in the range type situation of western United States, where they have very extensive, very large pastures that have no cross fencing.
I had a individual ask me about a week and a half ago if I foreseen rotational grazing, this being the only way to rotational grazing. I don't see it. As a personal opinion, I do not see that. I think polywire and movable fences will be more, or will continue to be prevalent, because the cost per animal, and if you have 10 goats, it is very hard to justify that kind of cost for 10 head. If you got 10 cows on 50 acres, and then like Chris had mentioned on the previous school, you're not getting out there and visually seeing your animals every day. You're not checking to see what the grass is doing. You're not checking to see if herd health is okay. And if you fasten them out of water, you don't know whether or not they have water if you're not out there visiting with them.
Though, back to what you say, the more this goes on, the more players keep the game. I mean, it could get cheap enough things.
Yes, I mean, absolutely. It could get cheaper. I mean, everybody's kind of seen it with smartphones. 10 years ago, your iPhone cost you $1,200, and now it's $700-800, and it's half the size of what it was. So, I mean, as technology progresses, battery technology progresses, everything gets smaller, lighter, and easier to use. And if you all want some more information, QR code, which you should be able to scan it out of there, probably. Yeah, you should be able to scan it. Any other questions?